Welcome to Funded Profits Trading. I'm Luke Holmstrom, and today I want to break down a trade with you that I made that I profited $4,500 from within 2 hours from with 4 lots. So let's go into this trade right now. The first thing I want to do when I enter into a trade is I want to look at the bigger picture. So right here, I just want to show you the 4-hour time frame that I entered in this on. Again, this is the US 30 Dow Jones Industrial Average Index. This is all I really do trade, and when you're in this, you kind of do know the market structure before even entering into like the day, like entering into trade. You kind of know what's been going on for the last few weeks. That's why I love trading 1, 2, 3 things that you absolutely love and you absolutely know to the fullest. If you can really just dig into 1 or 2 or 3 different stocks or indexes, cryptos, whatever you want to dig into 1 or 3 of them and really learn them inside and out. So I already knew what was going on inside the market structure. I could tell that, we already were in a huge pullback here. So we were in a huge pullback. We went through some consolidation and we entered in. We actually retested. We couldn't get through this resistance again here, but we retested and broke through, and it got to a point in the 1-hour time frame where I started noticing that we were having a rising wedge appear. So right here, it was right around this time right here where I noticed that we're starting to form a rising wedge. And with this, it did happen, and we broke out a little bit, consolidated, and then we finally went down into some bearish movement. But after we went to the very top, I did form up Fibonacci retracement. So I have that up right here, and this just shows you that there is a lot of profit potential inside of this short selling market right here. I do like to trade it within the 0.382 to 0.618. I like to get into here. That's my favorite profit zone. So I noticed we were pretty high still on the fibs. And as well with that, we were getting to the negatives on the MACD. Again, if you're above 0 on the MACD, it's bullish. If you're below 0, it's bearish. And then you can also read it by looking at the signal lines as well. But I have another video on that, so you can go check that out as well. And then looking also, I know this is just the RSI, but you need to look at multiple different indicators. Look at multiple different time frames. There's so many different things. You need to have as many confluences as possible. I had multiple different confluences in this trade, and this is just another one of them that I kind of just saw. It wasn't like I took this one too much to heart, but I did notice that if you put a trend line on top of this RSI, again, you could see that the market structure was starting to roll over here before I even entered into the trade, where we could possibly see it hitting that 30 mark. So that was another thing that I was looking at as well in this trade. So from here, I wanted to get into this trade. After I had a couple different legs form, I would enter into a trade usually after 2 legs form in a trend channel. But with this trend channel, I got in right here. I wanted to, this is where I started to really look at the trade. And once we finished up top, I was looking at getting a short sell in here, but we opened up a new candle outside of the trend channel. And from here, I was kind of skeptical. I didn't know if we were really going to, go down anymore. I didn't know if it was going to be bearish anymore. I thought we might, just reject this and shoot up and keep going in our bullish direction. But we ended up hitting this resistance right here where we couldn't get any higher. And I noticed that it started slowing down for the second candle that just formed. And what happened is we hit a resistance. It was actually like around the 300 level. And we hit that resistance again. It was like the same resistance as this previous candle. And when we hit that, we came back down, and I entered into the trade a little bit prematurely at 275. But I did think that we still had a little bit to go. We still had some more bearish movement in there. So I entered in right away at 275. And this was after, hours technically of watching this trade. So I entered in there, and then we hit that same resistance point around that 300 mark 3-4 times. And one of the times I actually did pick up another position at 35296, and I entered in there again. And I had 2 different positions open at 2 lots each. So in total of that $4,500, we only snagged 1,000 pips, but we actually did go further than that, and I'll explain it all right here. So the next thing that I did have lined up is I had some support and resistance levels, some key areas where we could be, we could reject or we could break through, but they were key levels to watch out for just in case it changes the direction of our trade. So right here, previously, I can notice that, we had multiple different times where we tried hitting this mark, this point on the chart. We just couldn't get through it. And even like this is a really good example right here is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 candles in a row right here that couldn't break through that resistance point. and I did worry that it might turn into a support zone, and it actually did. So we got out of the trade here, and it did turn into a support zone. From there, it actually did form up and create a double top. Now, I was kind of thinking that this might happen, but also, like what my head was thinking was, if it forms a double top, to watch it, if it forms, a head and shoulders, to watch it. So I was kind of just sitting back after this point, and I was thinking about entering the trade again, as long as it didn't break over this last candle right here, because I had my stop loss set just above the body, but I also did have some, in my head, I had a little bit of room where I could move my stop loss up above that wick to make sure we don't get stopped out. But with that, I was curious to see if we were going to do a head and shoulders or a double top, and we actually did, but it was too late in the day. This trade was at 6 o'clock, about 6:30 to 8:30, and I didn't get through all this because it was just too late at night. I was already sleeping, so I actually didn't get into this. But if you were a member inside of the Funded Profits Trading Signals room, you would have, if you just put your stop loss and you just put your take profit, the biggest one in, you would have, took advantage of this 1 to 4 risk to ratio trade with 3,000 pips of profit, 300 points of profit. So, and again, with forming my stop loss, I just used this previous leg because I knew if it broke over this, that the trend was just over. But I had that in mind, so I had in my head, I knew that if I had to move my stop loss up, it would be totally fine. So that's just where I put my stop loss right there. And I was also like, when I got into the trade, first of all, when I did get into that, I like to risk about 500 pips, 50 points on my stop losses, but I did notice that we did hit that resistance point, and that's why I gave myself a little extra room, because just in case I did enter in a little bit too early, if we came back and hit the resistance point, I was using that resistance point as like a point of entry, or, which technically was my second position's point of entry anyways. So, and again, with that, I wanted to have at least a 1 to 3 risk to reward ratio. Ended up being a 1 to 4 with a 3,000 pip stop loss. But more importantly, I had it at first. I had it at 2,000 pips that I was really looking at, but I lowered it actually just because I noticed this other the recent support right here that we did have, and you can see it touched this multiple different times with these other candles. So I did have this kind of lined up, and that was just above where this key area was. So that's just me breaking down a previous trade that I had. If you were inside of the Funded Profits Trading Signals, you would have received this trade and you could have automated it yourself. So if you're interested in becoming a better trader, learning how to day trade, learning how to get funded with $100,000 in funded capital, then all you got to do is click the button below and come see what we have in store for you at Funded Profits Trading Academy, where we teach you everything that we know, and we show you our live trades, live time, just like this. So I'm Luke Holmstrom signing off, and I'll see you in the next video.